All right, so we're here with, what was your name?
I'm Bill.
Bill, all right. Is that the most common name in the United States?
Possibly. Yeah, there's a lot of us.
Yeah. Bill, you've got some 3D printing recycling projects going on here.
Well, I'm with the Recreator 3D project. I've been working on the plastic shredder and also doing a little bit of testing and working on the Mark 6. This is the Mark 6 pultruder.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace.
We take a plastic soda bottle, you cut the bottom off, you run it through the community bottle cutter, and you make a really nice long ribbon. You take that ribbon and you feed it through into the intake of the pultruder. It goes out, you tie it up to this drum, and it slowly pulls it through, it heats it, and it will turn the ribbon into basically a little drinking straw, round cylinder. And so it takes it directly and makes printer filament. So it's 1.75 diameter tube that you can then run directly into any 3D printer that can print at temperatures for ABS or PETG.
Wow, that's really cool. So I noticed you have a whole ecosystem of products here.
Yes.
And is that to help boost sales, or is that a marketing thing?
They're not really selling anything. If you want to support, you can go and donate on our website, or like Josh has some merchandise for sale, like shirts and things like that. But this kit, Josh released it. It's on printables. It's free, open source. If you've ever modified an Ender printer, you probably have everything you need to make a Mark 6. All it needs is a control board, a hot end stepper motor, and a screen. And it runs on G-code. It's firmware agnostic. I'm running right now the Creality 1.1.4 8-bit board that I upgraded my printer to an SKR.
Wow, that's very old.
Yep, that shows how long I've been doing. But that's the point, is that if you're a maker and you've done a lot of 3D printing stuff, you probably have a bunch of parts sitting at home in a bin somewhere. Go digging through them, you can start making your own filament with just what you have left over. I collect bottles from work when people chuck them in bins, and now I get a whole bunch of free filament, so I'm good with that.
So do you ever notice a difference in the smell or the taste?
So I have one friend of mine from work, he likes to drink orange Mountain Dew, and sometimes if I don't clean the bottle very well when I'm pulling it through, it may smell a little bit like orange, which is kind of funny. I always get a chuckle out of it. But yeah, normally it don't really have any smell, no fumes or nothing like that. It's a food safe plastic, so it's not like you're doing ABS where you get all the nasty fumes and stuff. Yeah, it's a really great material to work with. Stefan from CNC Kitchen, he did some testing with PET and found it also is a really good engineering plastic.
Okay.
So example, they made some dice out of Mountain Dew soda bottles, and you can drop those things, you can roll them, and they're rigid, robust, and strong. I've dropped a couple of the prints on the floors, and they just bounce right off.
Have you done a statistical distribution of the results from this dice? Because it doesn't feel like it's completely balanced.
Well,
I think you're trying to cheat people out of.
Maybe you do infill a little heavier around the 20, or I don't know.
Yeah. Those aren't the kind of ethics we need.
Well, hey.
I thought you were Mr. Clean Green guy.
Well, we got to start somewhere.
Okay. Well, I noticed you told me all about this filament production directly from a bottle.
Okay.
But what is this?
So these two are samples from Josh. He's got a grinder that he's got the information here for. It was about a $500 plastic shredder, and he was able to take old prints and shred them up. This is old PLA prints, and this is old PET bottles. You can see all the different colors. Before, to get an extruder, it's like $5,000, and pretty much everybody on the Discord, we're doing this for hobby stuff, so I don't really have $5,000 to dump on an extruder, but the ArtMe is $700, so it's more in the realm of a hobbyist kind of thing. Or if you do a part-time maker, as a side hustle. This is examples of what you can do with plastic bottles and how you can grind them up and then use them in something like the ArtMe. One of the things that we were looking at was the $500 still is a bit of a steep price for a shredder. So on the Discord, we got a channel in there for the micro shredder. So
wow, that's cool. It's small.
Yep, Teaching Tech, the Teaching Tech YouTube channel, he released his filament pelletizer, which was the inspiration. He's got a router bit in here that cuts filament into little pellets. Okay. It makes it reusable for injection molding or extruding. So we were talking on the Discord saying, well, how big of a stuff can we fit in there? So I made one of these and just started throwing stuff in with needle nose pliers. I would not recommend that. It's very dangerous. It's a spinning router bit with blades. So we started working together and designing it on our Discord to make a housing that would hold a router, and then you could put parts and stuff in here and grind them up into pellets. And after we run them through, we end up with this grade of fine granule pellets that would fit into really any extruder, any injection molding. And I got to give a shout out to the HAL 9000 on our Discord. He was the one who was given some great ideas, and it's like version 5, 6 or something, but if you notice, all the orange bits in there are the same color as this.
Yeah.
So this shredder ate the previous versions and turned them into pellets to use for extruding.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're building an extruder, what better, how are you gonna test it than shred up your old shredder? So,
Right, so it's self-destructed.
yeah, this micro shredder is also on printables, open source, free to use, and you can build the whole thing for under 25 bucks.
I mean, this to me seems incredibly unsafe.
I was worried about that, but the thing is, you clamp it to your table, you hook up a power drill to it, and there was a plunger that goes in here that got legs and walked off, unfortunately, but you load it up with parts first, so I got an example here. Originally designed it to use for cutting up the bottle tops,
yeah.
the threaded part, because you can't make filament out of them, and then again, some parts of the old shredder, but you fill up the hopper, you put the plunger on, and then you you apply power to the drill, and it will grind. The plunger keeps the filament from flying back out, and it also acts as a guard so you don't put your fingers in it. And then additionally, the bottom part that is exposed to the router is enclosed by a plastic bottle, so you're not tempted to stick your finger in there while it's running. So it's got all guards and safety stuff, so you're not, and I can't fit my finger in there far enough.
Yeah.
If I tried to put my pinky in, it only goes that far, so it keeps you from actually hurting yourself.
Right.
So we have another design that we're working on. I was getting some help from Hal, but we both agreed it uses a bigger router bit, and we haven't designed it to be that safe yet, and we don't want to release something to the community that might hurt somebody.
I've been using Squarespace to design and host my own website for over 2 years now. Before starting my website with Squarespace, I didn't really have any web design experience, but their user interface called Fluid Engine makes it really easy to build web pages from the ground up. So you can use your phone or computer to drag and drop pictures, links, buttons, and all sorts of stuff, and it makes it really easy to bring your creative visions to life. Squarespace is a great way to establish a professional web presence, and with Squarespace domains, you can even pick your own domain name. So when you go to nathanbuildsrobots.com, you can see that's me. So check out squarespace.com for a free trial. The best part is you don't have to pay anything until you're ready to publish your website. Once you're ready to launch your website, go to squarespace.com/nathanbuildsrobots to claim a 10% coupon off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now let's get back to our presentation on 3D printing. So where were we? All right.
You also have to factor in the human factors of sustainability.
Yep.
And if someone's getting hurt, that's not very sustainable.
Yep.
So it seems like you are really focused on these plastic bottles.
Yes.
So
Well,
why plastic bottles?
they're everywhere and they don't degrade down. Like PLA, they market it as saying it's a biodegradable plastic. And over time, under industrial situations, yes, it does biodegrade down. But for PET, the garbage island in the ocean, it's made a lot of HDPE and stuff like that, and it never breaks down. It just gets into smaller pieces and microplastics, and it's just stuck around forever. So I joke, I say all the time, like, thousands of years from now, some archaeologist is going to dig through and call this the Plasticine era, because it's just going to be a layer of plastic in the dirt, and it's just going to be there forever. So we have this untapped resource. You can buy really expensive spools of filament from a manufacturer that is PET. It's the exact same stuff. Why not just cut out the middleman and make your own? Take it out of a garbage. It's free. It's going to go to the landfill and fill up some dump somewhere. Why not, upcycle it and make something that's usable that you can reuse again? And then when you're done with it, grind it up and make something out of it too. So,
isn't the best way to fully get rid of the plastic to make sure it doesn't ever hurt anyone again to incinerate it?
I know where I live, a lot of the plastics in the recycling bin, they go and they incinerate it and use it to produce power, like steam power, to run concrete production factories and stuff like that. And so that is one of the EPA recommended techniques. But the thing is, if you can take this plastic and reuse it multiple times, and then when it reaches the end of life, you can't recycle it anymore, then you can apply it to something like that. You've still gotten way more life out of it. So instead of just burning it, you're still releasing that carbon dioxide. You are getting a cleaner burn, so there's not as many
microplastics.
Yeah, and there's not that much carbon monoxide, stuff like that, but you're still releasing that oil basically that was used to make this. We're all going to 3D print, right? I print with stuff that is new filament too, but if instead of doing a small print, like if I'm going to print some dice, instead of using print from a spool that was new plastic, why not take old plastic and reuse it? So instead of turning it into a one-use product, I've now made it something that I'm reused, and instead of using that new production plastic from oil or whatever, I've now reused something that was originally going to be thrown into landfill. All the plastic bottles that I collect, I don't take them out of the recycling bin. I only take them from trash can. We have a recycling bin on the other side of the office, and nobody wants to get up and walk over there and throw it in the bin. They want to put it in the little garbage can next to their desk. Those are the bottles that I take. If they're going to get recycled, I figured they're already going to a good cause, but these are all bottles that would end up in landfill.
I think you might just be using this as an elaborate scheme to greenwash your loaded dice operation. Where you're cheating your friends, and you're cheating the community.
Well, if I let them use the dice, is it really cheating? We all have the same advantage.
I'm sure you have a special dice that's just for them. Gotta watch out for this guy.
Yeah.
What has your reaction been from the community when they see stuff like this?
Honestly, everyone's been super excited. They were talking about the Mark VI. They saw previous generations of it. For people to see it as far as it is now, I mean, it's a clean, sleek setup that people were kind of intimidated by the previous versions, the being bigger. But to see how few parts this one needs, and it's really, the whole chassis 3D printed, a lot of people are excited to start doing, especially when you realize that you can start making your own filament from scratch for free. They're really excited about that. And then also the big one too is everybody now has a Bambu printer. And we originally designed this to shred up the bottle tops, but someone came by and was like, I could put my poop in here. And if you know, if you're in the 3D printer community, you understand what that comment meant to be. But yeah, you could put Bambu printer poops in here and grind them up. You could use them for injection molding. You could use them to make other types of plastics like the brothers make. They use a panini press to make flat sheets. If you've got an extruder, you could do that. There's another project on printables that converts a Prusa Mark III to a pellet printer. So you could actually go directly to printing. We've figured out how to reduce the support materials, but everyone's working on lowering the poop. And so now we found a solution inadvertently, like, oh yeah, we could use this for Bambu. So people are excited. Plus with the ArtMe, most people didn't know that there's a $700 option to make your own filament from your waste.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna start to see a lot of people trying to reduce the amount of waste, the infill, the lesser infill, stuff like that, lesser support material. And when they do have to do it, they're gonna be able to reuse it to make new filament to then recycle it again. So hopefully we don't need to buy as many spools of filament as often, saving us money, making 3D printing a little bit greener.
Yeah.
Because I know that's the biggest complaint is I'm wasting a lot of plastic and it's going in the garbage. You can definitely use it with a filament runout sensor to make big models. This was made with 6 different 2-liter soda Mountain Dew bottles.
Okay.
So awesome, hefty print. I mean, he's solid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He's
pretty
a
good.
pretty stout little guy.
I noticed you used whiteout.
Yeah.
You couldn't afford real paints.
Hey, yeah, you recycle with what you got, right?
Okay. I mean, that's your thing,
Yeah.
so.
You can get as far into the recycling and reusing as you want to get, all the way up to getting your own extruder, or don't be worried, like you don't have to do a huge investment. If you just have spare parts, you can start making your own filament.
Well, you know what the best part about that poop recycling project that you're working on is?
What's that?
When you mix all the colors together,
Oh, it's gonna look like poop.
it makes brown. Well, all right.
Yep.
Well, on that bombshell, thank
Yep.
you for talking to
Thank
me
you,
today.
yeah.
It's really cool to see all these different products that you're working on that are
Cool.
all, united under the same theme of recycling
yeah.
plastic bottles.
Come join us on the Discord. We're up to all kinds of shenanigans. And if you're building a Mark VI and you have any questions, the community is really ready to help out. That's how I got sucked down this rabbit hole. I tried to build one and I asked for help and everybody wanted to help. And then I tried to start return the favor. So come join us and yeah.
Thanks for this mission. I think it's actually pretty cool.